Corla. It's important to begin by saying that supporting this legislation is absolutely the right thing to do. It is morally correct to take a stand against illegal occupations right across the globe, regardless of the strength or power of the state involved. Apologies. The bill seeks to provide or prohibit Ireland from trading in goods and services from occupied territories by prohibiting the import and sale of those goods and services. It is no surprise, Minister, that there is such widespread support right across this country for this legislation. And I want to commend Deputies Collins and Senator Francis Black for their work, which they carried out amid strong opposition from government. Very simply, this bill is about upholding international law, and every state should be held to the same account. It is recognised that the conflict in the Middle East is complex, and we have always supported a two-state solution between Palestine and Israel, respecting both sides in that conflict. However, the continued expansion of illegal settlements on Palestinian land cannot be condoned and is contrary to international law. The international community of which we are a part of has a duty to call out and to try and stop the humanitarian situation in Gaza and the West Bank. We cannot just sit by and do nothing. We have a moral duty to speak out. Ireland has a proud peacekeeping tradition, and we are well respected in the international community. We have our own history of war and violence on this island, so we acutely understand the challenges and the complexities attaching to that, and what it takes to move beyond violence to peace. We are not seeking to boycott Israel, and we of course respect their territory, but we cannot support illegal settlements. What we need to see from both sides is a genuine commitment to achieving peace. This bill, very practically, seeks to make it an offence for a person to import settlement goods that come from an occupied territory. If all countries adopted the same approach, it would make it far less worthwhile or desirable for any state to illegally occupy the territory of another. So the positive impact is obvious. Why not lead the way? It is a non-violent way of encouraging compliance with international law. The penalties are a fine and potentially imprisonment, and show that we are serious about tackling this issue. The government view of the bill is that while Israeli settlements in the occupied West Bank are clearly illegal, that is accepted, Ireland cannot ban trade in settlement goods unilaterally because trade is an exclusive competence of the European Union. Generally, this is true, but there are exceptions to this rule, Minister, and you know that. And these exceptions are on a public policy basis. We in Fianna Fáil disagree with the interpretation by the government of our EU commitments and have legal advice to the contrary. The government is hiding behind unpublished Attorney General advice, and in reality there are other reasons the government do not wish to support this legislation, and people know full well what those reasons are. EU law, while it does make trade an exclusive competence of the European Union, does also provide that Member States can unilaterally introduce restrictions on trade if they can be justified as a matter of public policy. And we have had legal advice to suggest that in this instance this bill can be justified on that ground. To be honest, Minister, it doesn't really take a lawyer or an expert to come to that conclusion. Fianna Fáil has always respected the State of Israel and will continue to do so. We do not question Israel's right or its people to exercise their right to self-determination and self-defence. But this does not extend to condoning illegal settlements. The human rights infringements that we are witnessing are serious and are very real. The way in which the Palestinian people have been treated is appalling and has caused widespread anger across our country. We know that there are pressures on government from other quarters not to get involved and to essentially ignore what is happening. But we cannot and should not bend to such pressure. Money and power have a lot of influence in this debate, but when you strip that away and you ask the very basic question, is this the moral and correct thing to do? The only answer is yes. Given that government's only reason for not supporting this bill is that it contravenes EU law, in your own opinion, surely you should be looking for a way out of that to try and find a solution that you can support the bill. So, Minister, will you undertake to get a direction from the European Union to see if the legal opinion that we're putting from this side of the House does hold up, because we believe that it does.